So welcome to day one of our Dandelion watercolor resist project. Today we are going to draw our dandelions and we are going to do the resist portion. Tomorrow we will do the watercolor bleeding. So for today's project, you're going to need watercolor paper, a Sharpie, and rubber cement. Mrs. Shardle will turn on the vents when we start using the rubber cement because it can get a little stinky, okay? So make sure if you're using rubber cement, you're in a well-ventilated area. On your Google Classroom, you do have some images available to you. This is, I think, the first picture that comes up. And then there is another image which has a variety of dandelions for you to choose from, and then just some examples of completed works. So we are going to be doing 3 dandelions. They can be the same or different. And we're gonna do a couple like floataways as well. All right, so I'm gonna leave this one up. The first thing you're going to do after the demonstration is you're gonna get a piece of watercolor paper. So watercolor paper is different than just regular paper. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it has like a texture on the surface. If you run your finger over it, you're gonna feel like slight bumps. It is thicker than regular paper. This is called a tooth. This texture that you're feeling, it's just the name they use for it. It's the tooth of the paper, which is almost like the grip of the paper, okay? So, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get your watercolor paper. You're gonna put your name and class code on the back. In this case, you are 4C. However, if you're joining me in another class, your class code is probably something different. I'm then going to flip it over. Oh, a few things. Some, not all of the paper, has this rough edge on the side, which is just like a frayed portion of the watercolor paper. Most watercolor paper does have this rough edge because it's pressed down. So it really, if it bothers you, get one that doesn't have it. I personally like it. I like the look of it because you can tell that it was watercolor paper and not just regular paper. So I said we are going to do 3 dandelions, correct? And for me, I'm going to put mine off to the side over here. If you like it on the right more, that's fine. If you look at the image that you have on Google Classroom, you're gonna notice that most of your dandelions aren't straight up because they get top heavy. So you're gonna have a large, medium, and a small, or at least a large and 2 medium ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and just draw mine in. I'm gonna have this guy be my tall, and I'm gonna do double lines here, like an oval. And then I'm gonna do a layered one. So I'm gonna start with shorter, lines, then longer, radiating out from a center point, and then long ones. And I'm going a little bit faster than you will. Like, you're gonna take your time, make sure your lines are straight, make sure that they're covering, because the tooth of this paper does make your stuff a little bumpy, your Sharpie lines. So the slower you go, the more ink gets on the paper, the better. And then I'm just gonna do like dashed end, which is a little different than what's on the paper or what's on your Google Classroom, but that's okay. So some of my dashes are going in places that I don't actually have a line, which is fine. Okay. Do another quick one over here. A circle. Maybe this is a sideways one. And then I would put another one over here somewhere. And I'm trying to do this fairly quickly so that I'm not wasting your time. The trick to making the dandelions look more realistic is to have more than one row. Like you have a longer row, you have a shorter row, and that just fills it in more. Now you don't have to, but you may put some dandelion leaves in. They're super easy. I'll show you real quick. It's a line up. And then it's almost like backwards waves. Going down, and you would fill that in. Now you are also going to have some of these little flyaways happening. So pick one of these and pretend that some of the seeds are floating through the air, and I'm just going to randomly put the seed portion on there and then attach the end or tail. I'm gonna have mine be like this little tassel guy. All right. Once you have that, we are going to use rubber cement, which is going to create a barrier to protect the white of the paper. So this right here is 2 layers of rubber cement. You're going to want to get 2 good layers on. Uh-oh, this one's not open. So if you come across one that's not open, you might have to use your scissors, possibly. Cut the plastic a little bit. Okay. We are not covering the stem or the leaf. We are only covering the part of the like dandelion weed that would actually be white. So you want to be careful just to keep it on your dandelions. I'm going to go over my puff, and it is very stinky. So I'm going to turn on the vents as well as the exhaust fan here. You do want it kind of thick. The problem with it being thick is it takes a long time to dry. So your first coat, you're probably not going to get it super thick. But your second coat, you definitely want to make sure that you're layering that on there. Okay. So it's going to have a little bit of a tinge of a yellow color to it. And it's going to shine. It dries fairly quickly unless it is like layered and piled up. So I would let this dry for a minute. I mean, you can kind of shake it if you want. And then do another nice solid coat of this. This is then going to go on the drying rack. Please try to fill a drying rack from the top to bottom because I am going to leave these on the drying rack all day and all night until you come in tomorrow. The problem is this is glue. So if I were to stack these up, even if they were dry, they would all get stuck together. So I'm gonna pass your artwork out to you from the drying rack tomorrow. First layer, let it dry maybe like 5 minutes or something. You could go put away your Sharpie, clean up your area. Then you're gonna put on a second coat, then it is going to get carried to the drying rack. Questions on this?